I love to read, and one of the things I always find that's really interesting is when you're reading a book and you're first getting into it and you hit that first line and something about that very first sentence or the very first paragraph of a book just draws you in. I mean, we all kind of have our favorites. There's, of course, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, or the really short one, Call Me Ishmael. Now, some of you know exactly what those books are and what they mean. My favorite has always been from a book called A Prayer for Owen Meany. And I love the way it starts. It says, I am doomed to remember a boy with a wrecked voice, not because of his voice or because he was the smallest person I ever knew, or even because he was the instrument in my mother's death, but because he is the reason I believe in God. I believe in God because of Owen Meany. You know, I read that the first time and I thought, man, I got to figure out how all that stuff works out, because I don't know how something could be the instrument of your mother's death and also the reason you believe in God. What a cool opening line. What about this opening line? In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered over the face of the deep, while the wind of God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. What a great opening line, don't you think? What a great way to open up the first line of our Bible, the first line of Scripture. I wonder, though, as you hear that opening line, I know for me with the Owen Meany thing, the thing that my mind focused on was the instrument of my mother's death and the reason I believe in God, and I was trying to figure out how those things hold together. So as you hear this creation story, this beginning of the creation story, what is the thing that really draws your attention? What is the thing that you notice most? Let me read it one more time. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered over the face of the deep, while the wind of God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now again, I think our minds focus on different things, depending on our mood, our thoughts, what's going on as we're reading the Scripture, what's happening as we hear it read to us. But you know, for me, the thing that I focused on was that line about there being this empty void, this spaceless void, or as some different translations read, a chaos. There is this idea that the earth, at the very beginning, whatever the earth was or whatever was going on in creation, there was complete chaos, or there was this empty void. That's where my mind went, was this concept of what would it have been like? And I tried to imagine this complete chaos, this empty void. And what I did was I began to think about, have I ever felt that way? I mean, has my world ever been feeling as if it is in complete chaos? Maybe the bigger world or my own little world around me. Yeah, it has. I mean, there's been lots of times where I have felt like everything around me is in complete chaos, or my calendar, my schedule, my life feels as if it's complete chaos. Or there have been other times where I feel this void within me. Have you ever felt that void? You know, you wake up and you just kind of go, I just feel so empty, this empty void that is filling me. In Genesis, it talks about it, you know, this empty void being dark. It's like this place of darkness. Have you ever felt that? And those maybe are two different feelings. Complete chaos, empty void. But they're all describing the same thing. It's the sense of being out of control. The feeling of absolutely feeling as if you have no control over what's going on around you, either from chaos or the sense of emptiness. The reason I think my mind focused on that is because of what happened next. That is how God enters into the world. That's how God begins creation. it begins in emptiness. Creation begins in chaos, in void, in nothingness. And then God says, let there be light. And there was light. Can the same thing hold true for us? I mean, this is a creation story, yes, but put this as your own personal creation story. Can the same thing hold true for you when your world's in chaos, complete and absolute chaos? When you're feeling within yourself that complete sense of void, that emptiness, where you feel alone and nothing seems to make sense. In the midst of that, Scripture tells us God said, let there be light. And I don't think that's just about creation. I think God is about creating each of us each and every day in unique and different ways. And perhaps the prayer, if that's where you are, or when you get there, needs to be, Lord, send your light. Lord, please say within my life, let there be light. Because I know that that is the God that you truly are.